Danny Naz,
Good
welcome to
morning.
F.A.C.E. I've been looking forward to speaking with you, Danny.
Good morning. Same here. What's up with this? We don't come on video.
Yeah,
Everybody a little
sure,
shy.
go ahead. Have you been on Zoom before?
Oh, maybe a few 100,000
Okay, if you want
times.
to be on video, just click the start video. I'll join you.
Sure. What's going on? There
All
we go. There's
right.
some brave
All right,
faces. All
Danny.
right. I
All
love it.
right, good to meet you. I wanted to talk markets, and maybe we'll do that and lay up a few charts. But I
Sure.
did I did go to your website. I know a little bit about your journey, and
Yep.
you were in the service. You're in the Navy for a long time. You saw the world. Where are you now?
In Brooklyn.
Okay,
Came back home. I'm a New York boy.
okay,
Hard. Well, the weather now is kind of getting me thinking I need to go back down south for a little bit. That's where I was stationed. So
okay.
I might have
Yeah,
to do that to escape for a little while.
yeah. I mean, someone that's seen the whole world. Do you ever worry about the state of what's going on here in the U.S. and
Uh,
uh, or
Not
it's
really.
just yeah, just trade, right? And
Yeah,
tomorrow
I mean,
takes
listen,
care of itself.
I've been on this earth for 40 years and a
Uh,
lot has
that's
happened.
why you're a pup.
Yeah, I'm always going to be a pup. But the reality is just like the markets, the world goes in cycles, things happen, it's life, right? And
Yeah.
we have to move forward. It's hard to get mired down too deep with what's going on. Just focus on what you have control of. A lot of these, macro events, we have no control over them. So why worry about something you can't control? Worry about what's in your control. And that's what we're doing here with trading.
Well, I always say, don't tell me worrying doesn't work because almost everything I worry about doesn't happen.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, I wanted to talk to you about like this recent inflation print and what you do and how you got from point A to point B. I know you ran some other businesses.
Yeah.
Tell us what you were doing and what it was like for you, say your first foray into the trading business.
Yeah, really great question. So I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. Once I got out of the Navy, I kind of had that mindset and discipline that yes, I was going to work for somebody, but my mind was, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to do something that I love. And I fell into art really early in my early 20s. And that led to starting like a freelance graphic design company, which led to web development when web started to get big in the early 2000s. That led to social media marketing when all the social media companies started coming out in the mid 2000s. And that led me down a road where I started a textile studio with a partner of mine that I met through my marketing company. And we've been running that for the last 13 years. All throughout that, around 2008, I really got interested in trading. When the market crashed from the housing bubble, I saw a lot
Right.
of opportunities there. I had some cash on the side. I dabbled in day trading, have no idea what I was doing at that time. And that was my first real taste. But going a little further back in the 80s, growing up with computers, I always watched my dad. He had his spreadsheets. First, it was handheld spreadsheets, then it was Excel. And I always watched him
Okay.
doing his mutual funds and the stocks. And I thought that was really interesting. So fast forward back to 2008, got really involved at that time. But then my business really started to take off. So I didn't have time to trade. And it wasn't until about 10 years later, right around 17, when Bitcoin started to really kick off. That's really what got me. That's the bug that got me. And
Okay.
made a lot of money, lost a good amount of it. And but I learned at that time, I need to learn technical analysis. I really
Okay.
I gotta get deep into this.
Who were your influences for that?
Well, honestly, I didn't go down the traditional route of buying books and everything like that. I had a couple of friends that actually saw that I was trading and they invited me into their groups. And so
Wow.
it was really at that time where I was just learning from a handful, like 6, 7 other traders that were doing different things. That's really what got me, learning. It wasn't until later on that, I was buying books and watching courses and things
You
like
had
that.
mentors. You had
Yeah.
mentors that were friends. How fortunate to not have to have a great sense of discernment and have to wade through the garbage that's
And
out there, right?
that's one of the reasons why I coach now, because I realize, going through the trading journey is very lonely. And most people just don't have people in their circle that are actively trading. And it's hard when you don't have somebody to talk to, when you don't have somebody to show a chart and ask a question.
I know what you
And of
mean, Danny.
Yeah, and then
I'm
you
lonely.
so
I'm
lonely,
Mr. Lonely.
so
I've got
lonely.
nobody to call on the phone. So that's my big belief in communities, Danny.
Yeah,
You and I were talking to each other right now. We each only have two eyes. In your
correct.
community, and I bet your students, because people call me coach too.
Yeah,
When you see your students succeed, isn't it a win and on your P&L, even though it doesn't show up?
it's huge, huge. I still get messages from people that I worked with in 2020. You changed my life. Like, there's nothing I could say or do to thank you. I get random things in the mail. I had a guy order 2 pizzas from my favorite pizza place here in Brooklyn, have it delivered. Like, this was going back a few months ago. I
Okay.
mean, it's awesome. But
Yeah.
honestly, I only do it because it was done for me, and I see in my experience what it did for me, and I'm like, I got to be able to pay back, because honestly, a lot of people got sucked into the market in 2020, and most of the money that they made, they probably gave back last year, and so
You mean
I'm
like the
trying to
meme
help them
stocks,
navigate. Yeah,
buying
well,
1 week options that were,
yeah, but
paying
even the
off?
growth stocks. I mean, look what's
Yeah.
happened to the growth stocks and
Yeah.
tech stocks over the last, 3 months. I mean, they've been absolutely crushed. Some
So
are
let
down 60, 70%.
So
So
that's a good segue. Do you have an overall narrative for the market, or it really doesn't matter? You treat each sector and stock within the sector as an individual, like entity,
yeah,
like an organism, and
yeah.
you could have an overall view that may not be constructive. The big question right now is, Danny, do you think the low we had 2 weeks ago from Monday is going to hold?
I don't think
And we're
so.
on our way. You don't
I
think
don't
so?
think so. I don't think so.
Okay.
So one of the things that I've really studied over the last year is Elliott wave. And I've
Okay.
gotten pretty deep into it. And I have a community of Ellioticians that I work with. And a lot of them feel, and I feel the same, that this could be just a corrective B wave on the way back up.
Okay.
And so that's I'm leaning that way. Of course, I never want to have any bias in any direction. I kind of let the charts speak for themselves. And if you look back to the COVID low, right, the move that we made from January to March of 20, there's anytime you have a move to the downside, there's always going to be counter trend rallies. And this looks like a counter trend rally. And so that's what's in the back of my head. But the good thing is it's very tradable, right? We've seen some really violent moves up to the upside. Some are hard to catch because they're overnight, and so they're not during normal hours. But yeah, I mean, listen, I think we've had some really nice counter trend rally moves to the upside. And so for me, very tradable, but I'm always going to have in the back of my head, I have to be cautious. And the reality is we could still revisit the previous highs and still be putting in a corrective flat, right? So that's a flat that would go
Okay.
right back up to the highs. And we could
Right.
still see a wave C down. So that's
Right.
going to be
Oh,
still in the back of
irregular
my head.
B.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know that R.N. Elliott was compulsive? People always wanted to know why he, waved at everybody. So it's because he was impulsive, and his wife was corrective. So that's my story of there's so many different counts. How do you handle all the alternate counts in Elliott? That's what, I interview a lot of practitioners,
Yeah.
and for one market, you could have so many different counts
Yeah.
and they all look valid.
Yep.
I guess Elliott is about adjusting
Correct.
to
Just on the fly.
you're adjusting you're reassessing all the time.
Yeah.
Does this change the structure? So do you have like a lot of Ellioticians preferred and then an alternate count?
Yeah. Yeah. You always have to have an alternate count, but it's like going into a day, especially when you're day trading, you have to have a trade to the upside and a trade to the downside. Otherwise, you're going to be surprised. So I never go into any day without plan A and plan B. When it comes to waves, I prefer to stay on the higher time frames unless I'm day trading. Then I'll go down to a lower time frame and I'll look for lower time frame waves.
Like
But for the
4
most
hours,
part,
4 hour.
30-minute. I'm looking.
Even that time. Yeah. Okay. I'll confess I use the 15 sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and again, that's really from a day trading perspective. I mostly
Right.
day trade 3 to 5 minute and then 15 to 30 to look for structure. And then when I'm swing trading, I'm 65-minute, 4 hour, and then above, sometimes daily, weekly to see the trend.
Look at
Um,
silver and gold. You think they got the buy stops here and the sell stops here?
yeah, that would make a lot of
I
sense
mean,
to me.
in my Twitter handle, Forex Stop Hunter. All right.
Yeah.
I remember on the floor, they used to, know where I would be a runner, Danny. I'd hand them the order. And if it had STP after it, they were very interested. And they kept that deck, and everyone knew where they could gun for the stops to use that liquidity to cover or take a position. So
Yeah.
don't tell me stop hunts don't happen anymore
That's
because we
wicked.
don't have open outcry,
Yeah,
right?
that's wicked on both sides right there.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and we're getting a pretty good sell off in S&Ps with that hot number today, and also yields. Let's see if yields got to 2% on that 197. So, you know, 198 and a half. So, what's your take after this inflation number? And what kind of instruments do you trade, Danny, and teach people to trade? Is it options? Is it ETFs? What's your poison?
So I'm mostly from a day trading perspective. I'm mostly an options trader. I like to trade
Okay.
weeklies and 1 week out, depending on the stock or the ticker. And for swing trading, I in this environment I prefer shares, only because there's just so much whipsaw action back and forth. I'm not interested in playing the volatility in that sense. So I'm mostly going long in shares on stocks, U.S. stocks.
Well,
But
you
I don't dip too much into metals or into
okay.
forex.
Okay, so you're mainly rotating in different sectors in the equity market, and
Yeah, I mean, the interesting
okay,
thing, we've mostly seen tech, obviously, in the last 2 years ripping. And, the name of the story was it would rotate out into financials, into oil and gas for a couple of days or a few days, and it would rotate right back into tech. But now what we're seeing is a bigger rotation into oil and gas, and it's
yeah,
staying there.
yeah,
And so it's not the same market as 2020. It's not the same market as 2021. It's its own animal. And so when you trade a certain way and you're locked into trading that way, you're going to miss a lot of these moves. And so I had to kind of rethink, all right, so tech is not really where it's at right now. What else is out there? And so I've had some really good success trading some oil and gas names,
okay.
Exxon Mobil, Antero Resources, even some, like copper plays, like Southern Copper Company, SCCO.
Okay, so you're becoming an equity, you're gravitating towards where the strength is, and that's the commodity markets. But at the same
Exactly.
time, do you think oil at $90 is overdone?
It might be. I mean, I think we're probably closer to a top than we are to a bottom, but we could still rip to $100. I mean, you have to also think about what's going on geopolitically in Eastern Europe. That certainly is going to affect, that's going to affect things. So I don't know. I mean, it is interesting. I think Kathy Woods came out, I think it was last year. She said we're never going to see $100 barrel of oil. I think she might
Oh,
be
that's
wrong.
why it's going there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's the
All
anti,
right.
it's the anti-Catholic Wood move.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we might see it, whether it
Oh, I
stays
hope she
there or
has at
not.
least a bear market rally, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course. Of course.
I was picking on her. Anyway,
Everybody.
so are you looking at any miners yet? I've heard from a lot of fundamental analysis guys that the miners are printing money with current prices, and not just copper miners, silver, gold miners. There are uranium, something that people are starting to gravitate to. Anything else in the commodity environment? And let me ask you, tell me if I'm wrong about this. Apple held up the best during the correction,
Yeah.
right? So it's the biggest part of the market, isn't it, market cap wise?
Yep.
So as Apple goes, so will the market go. And Apple had one of the shallower pullbacks.
Yeah.
Even Microsoft was deeper, and we know what happened to Facebook, and we know what happened to Google. You know, a lot of them got hammered. Amazon, classic example too of, you know, Amazon hadn't made a new high for such a long
Yeah.
time.
It's trading
You know,
sideways.
it was, yeah, and then we had this breakdown. So Apple's probably the most important stock for the continuation of any move in the market. You have a wave count on Apple?
I do not have a, oh, I just lost my, 1 second. Let me get my chart back up. I don't
Yeah,
have
you
a
could
wave
share.
count. I don't have a wave count on, actually, you know what? Maybe I do. So here's the thing. I have a free newsletter that I put out on Sundays, and Apple was actually my pick of the week. I had a trade through 170. I could share this.
Okay, I'll stop sharing and then you could do it.
Okay, and I think you have to make me co-host if I'm not mistaken.
I don't have to now. You just click the share screen.
Perfect.
There you go.
So yeah, nice. So I had a trade entry through 170 with a target of 176 and 180. We obviously hit 176.12, which was a 200% extension that I had off of a prior swing high, swing low. So I looked at this as a flat correction, ABC, down to the bottom of that 168 extension to the downside. And so we came right back up. I agree. I really like, if we can get through that 200% extension at 177.24, we're definitely going to revisit all-time highs. And then I'd be watching for a move back up to 187. And then if we hit 187, I like this as a $200 magnet. I think we'll get pulled right up to 200.
Okay. So you think we're going to take out the C wave in the market, but not an Apple? You think Apple could make a move to new highs?
Well, so the thing is, Apple can make new highs before the rate hike in March. And so I think the rate hike in March, that's going to be the telltale sign. Do we get a quarter point or do we get a half point? I think if we get a half point, I think we're going to be near all-time highs across the board when that comes. And that's going to be the catalyst that either propels us or pulls us back.
Okay. So that would give the Fed the latitude. I mean, Peter Bookvar says the Fed is not data dependent, they're S&P dependent.
Yeah.
So yeah, new highs would open that window.
Yeah, and we have some time, right? We got about a month, and there's plenty of time for us to continue to melt back up to all-time highs. And I think that's where we'll be when the Fed rate hike comes. And like I said, some people are, let's get the half point, rip the Band-Aid off. Let's just get this over with. I don't know. I mean, I think quarter point could be interesting. Maybe it's neutral, but half point definitely send us lower.
Any view on the dollar? That's our bailiwick here. It doesn't come into your
It doesn't. I mean, the only thing I look at DXY is mostly an inverse play on the market. Okay. Outside of that, I don't look at currencies.
Okay. And the bond market, still, very out of favor now.
Yeah. Again, something that I'll kind of look at, but it doesn't really play into how I trade.
And what's that background behind you?
This is
a slide.
This is the Oculus. This is the World Trade Center, the new transportation terminal.
Oh, okay.
So next time you get to New York, check it out. It's really cool. It's like a big mall, but it's this massive structure, and it looks like actually looks like an eagle. It has like these wings on the outside, but it's really beautiful.
We're talking to a guy who loves his city. I'm a Chicago guy.
Okay, cool. And
so people get us confused. I think we're a lot different, but don't you? Dealing with people in Chicago compared to New York, or
the only thing about Chicago, when I first get off the plane, first place I go is Lou Malnati's. That's always my first stop. That's my spot. But yeah, I love Chicago. I mean, any big city, it's got, every big city's got a different flavor. And coming from a big city person, I love, big cities all around the world. So, Chicago is in there.
You're going to re-up in the Navy?
No. That's well done in the past.
How about your own yacht? Would you be able to sail the world on your own?
I could, but I think I've seen enough of the water, and I've smelled enough of the sea. A nice beach house will do me just fine. I'll smell the sea that way. That works for me.
Here's the way. That's as much of a sailor as I've ever been, Danny.
Yeah, I got my sea legs. I've got enough of my sea legs, though.
I could tell from your demeanor you'd be a great teacher. and mentor. And
So I've been told.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. I reinvented myself to, do that. I always wanted to share, but what's the best way if people want to check you out and talk to you, for them to get a hold of you? And perhaps, I know there's always people looking to improve and learn from everyone. And there it is, Pup University.
Pup
So
University.
do you
It's
need
pup
your
trucks.
shots before you, I'm talking rabies, not COVID shots, before you get into your classroom?
Yeah, everybody's got to show
Distemper shots.
their vax card,
Yeah,
vaccinated against bear markets, and
yeah.
then
Oh,
you're welcome to come in.
I asked if I could be inoculated against future market losses. So the lady didn't say anything. She just looked at me
I heard they're
quizzically.
still
But
working on it, so
yeah. So
I have
Danny,
hope.
really a pleasure meeting you. And this is where people could find you.
Yeah, and also on Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter. That's at the Pup of Wall Street, street spelled with an ST.
Okay.
I'm pretty much posting charts and news all day as the market is open till market close. And on the weekends, I put out probably about 20 to 25 weekly charts just to set us up for the next week. So share a lot of free information. The people that come into my university really are the ones that are either novice or intermediate traders that want to just get better. And I'm happy to do that.
Okay. And Danny, I'm glad that our paths cross on Twitter.
Yeah, same here. I appreciate the invite. I think actually this is the second time we've talked, so I do appreciate your time. Yeah, we spoke
thank you for
early last year.
Oh, okay, Danny. So,
yeah.
I guess I've done too many of them, or, on early onset dementia is probably a possibility as well. But
PTSD from the market, maybe.
Yeah. So you're already my trading warrior brother. So
yeah, man.
I want to thank you for coming back and sharing some of your views. And we'll all be watching Apple, and really appreciate you coming here and your giving spirit to share your time and tell us your story, Danny.
Absolutely. And before I go, big shout out to Datadog with the earnings last night. The dog pack, the pup pack is working well, up 11%. So that's my favorite stock naturally.
All right. Well, congratulations on that. And till we talk again, I hope all things are green for you and the people you teach, buddy.
And you as well. And thank you for everybody on the panel and your community for joining in. Appreciate that. And appreciate all of you.
All right.
Take care, bud.
Danny Naz, everybody. That's a wrap. Good luck the rest of the day. You could join the team in 20 minutes for the morning edge. Make sure you shaved. I shaved this morning.
I didn't.
Danny has a good look there. So see everyone tomorrow. People are thanking you, Danny. See you, buddy.
Thank you. Take care.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.